I'm hearing some feedback here. Okay, so the technology is pretty unique. There's no other like it in the world. So it's a process that was started by some scientists that were putting this information together and testing it out on athletes to increase their endurance. And so they had this formulation going and this procedure, but they didn't want to, when they decided to give it up, they didn't want to just pass it on to anyone. So from what I understand, they trusted Sergey, our president of APL, with the process. So he guards it, you know, he's got guards and everything guarding this thing. He hasn't patented it yet. I don't know if he intends to, but this is a very, very guarded, you know, method because there's no other like it in the world. So what happens is when Bara Herbs grows organically all of the botanicals for APL, and of course they take great precautions to grow everything in nutrient-rich soil in the right temperature and conditions. And when they harvest the botanicals, they make sure that they're at their most potent. And so, you know, they take great care to increase the nourishing value of all of the botanicals. So then what they do is they freeze dry it, from what I understand, and then they ship it to the manufacturing facility. And at that facility, there is several vats, giant, you know, metal vats. And so with the technology, they infuse the material, the plant material with electrons, and they simulate an electrical storm. If any of you have ever been out after an electrical storm, you can smell the air full of negatively charged particles, the negatively charged ions. So whenever we have an abundance of negatively charged ions in the body by either, you know, just inhaling that fresh air or being out in the sunshine, or ingesting high energy active plants, because they store the sun's energy as well, and they hold an abundance of negatively charged ions as well. So when we take in those foods, you know, then our bodies benefit because it neutralizes a lot of the toxins, a lot of the invasive pathogenic organisms, you know, the viruses, bacteria, fungi, parasites, things like that, or any synthetic chemicals that are that we ingest or breathe in or drink in, you know, from the kind of pollutants. Then the body has trouble getting rid of them sometimes. But these negatively charged particles will actually neutralize all of those invasive, you know, substances. So this is what's great about the drops. When they are bombarded with those negatively charged particles, and they actually preserve, and those particles are actually active and viable. They've been tested, from what I understand, in an independent laboratory, and they have been found to have their enzymes still intact, which is very important for all of our biological processes, and also those negatively charged particles that neutralize all of those what are called free radicals. So that's what I know about the technology.
Thank you, Mary. The second question was, how are the botanicals chosen for each product?
You know, when I did the research on every single botanical in our formulations, which is what I've been doing for 40 years, and I was very familiar with a lot of the botanicals. So I was very impressed by how they combined all of these botanicals in each formulation, because I knew that each formulation focused on certain areas of the body. Some of the botanicals out in nature, they have a certain affinity for certain areas of the body. For instance, the carotenoids, they have an affinity for the eyes and the lungs, you know, in different areas in the body. So all of these plants out in nature have multiple phytochemical compounds that are so beneficial for the body. There's years and years of scientific research, peer-reviewed studies, university studies all over the world over time have accumulated a huge database of information on what these phytochemical compounds in these botanicals do for the body. So there's no doubt, you know, when I had my clients see me before I retired my practice in Northern California 12 years ago, I was practicing for 30 years. So I found that when I applied these scientific studies to, I taught my clients, what was going on, and I showed them if they wanted to improve their health in whatever was ailing them. I showed them the science and they applied it and they got well, so my clients' experiences match the science. And apparently this is what's happening with the APL drops. The results that people are getting match the science. So, I think that's why they were chosen, because someone did their scientific homework, much like I did, And so when I compiled the book for APL, I noticed that these formulations were very, very carefully and very well researched and very well chosen.
Thank you. It makes a lot of sense, because a lot of the ingredients and the botanicals that have been used, we hear from our grandparents, sometimes use this because you're feeling bloated, or use that because you're not feeling nauseous, or whatever it is. And a lot of it makes sense now from what you're saying. The other question that I have, and maybe it's the last one for now, what product should we use first and why? Say, for instance, we're just starting up with APL products. What would you recommend is the best product to use first?
So I would suggest one of the products that has the most ingredients in it, because you get an array of those phytochemical compounds that are so beneficial. The MLS is a good general all-around multi-spectrum supplement to take, because it has so many botanicals and therefore has very many of those phytochemical compounds that are so good for us. So I would start out with the MLS. And try not to overdo it at first, because the sicker the person is, the longer the time has gone in the degenerative health process. When someone doesn't know how to take care of their body, they receive all this misinformation from everywhere, and it's very confusing to the layperson. So, and they don't even know which foods to choose. And so they choose foods that are unhealthy for them without knowing what the damage is doing. And especially over time, when the body starts running out of its own resources, it's doing its best to stay alive in the best possible way and healthy in the best way. But if it's running out of resources, if you don't replenish it with the right nutrients that the DNA understands for the repair and regenerative process, and for duplicating our DNA, our cells are always replicating themselves so that it perpetuates the life process. But when the DNA is damaged, then they start replicating wrong. And so that's when the disease process starts and a person's health starts degenerating. Sometimes it's a lot more rapid, depending on which body system is affected. But sometimes over time, people start getting more and more health problems. So yeah, I mean, it's important to just be able to just take something that's going to address all the body systems. So I would say the MLS or the BTY, and of course that applies for men as well. Or maybe one of the power, formulations that also has an array of plants that will address whatever the gender is. We have hormones that understand which plant compounds to use for even your own specific gender. So sometimes both men and women will take both formulations for a better balance, and that's always good too. So you don't have to worry about the drops, turning you into a man or turning you into a woman kind of thing. That doesn't happen in nature. Our bodies know to choose these plant compounds and knows what to do with them.
It's interesting that you say that, because another leader of mine's asked today, is it possible for a female to use the power for men if she's having period pain? And I suggested that she can use it, because it's going to basically fill in the gaps wherever she's feeling hurt or pain. It's definitely going to work in her favor. So she's going to use it tonight. So thank you, Mary. I'm not sure if the other leaders have other questions for you.
Well, I like what you said about, oh, go ahead.
Okay, no, thank you so much, Mary. I really appreciate you coming back, being here with us. After the last session, we're like, so excited, because now we had so many questions and questions answered as well. So I'm glad today it's a free session where we can all just ask certain questions. So Mary, my first question is, please explain to us, why is it important for us to suck the drop instead of swallow it? That would be the first question from my side.
You might want to ask someone to mute themselves. I totally missed that question. Sorry, Julia.
All right, I see they're muted now. Let me just double check again. Yes, okay. So my first question is, please explain to us, why is it important for us to suck the drop instead of swallow it like a normal pill? Why are we sucking it? What's the importance of that? What happens?
Okay, great. That's a great question. So we have some cells inside our mouths, and those are very thin membranes in those cells. So when you dissolve it with the saliva, it breaks it down so that all of the great compounds are released and they can enter through those cell membranes. Cell membranes are very particular as to what our bodies allow inside of that inner universe. Our cells, we've got multiple trillions of cells in every single body system, different kinds of cells, but they all serve a different purpose. They are what compose all of our body tissues and structures and body fluids and all of that. The immune system, all that is composed of cells. But in the mouth, those membranes are immediately absorbed into the bloodstream. So that's the closest to the capillaries, and it goes into the bloodstream and it circulates throughout the body. And our immune system and our hormonal system and our nervous system all work together to determine what to do with all of those nutrient factors. So the body knows exactly what to do as they circulate through the body. It's our bodies have a hierarchy of priorities. You know, at first it addresses the most critical, which is the brain, the nervous system, you know, the kidneys, the heart, you know, the lungs. Those are the most vital systems. So it will address those systems first, and then as time goes on, if you continue taking the drops and things get repaired at the DNA level, and therefore the functioning improves of those systems, then you'll be able to utilize them in other body systems. So that's why it's important to dissolve them in the mouth using the saliva.
Oh, wow. Okay. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Sure.
All right. So my second question is about hot water. So let me give you context. Today, was it today or yesterday? I think it was today. In our group, we were having this discussion of why we need to take hot water after we dissolve it in our mouth, or whether we need to take it before, whether when we give it to kids, when we dissolve it, should we use warm water, hot water, or just cool down water? Just explain to us the importance of what type of water in terms of temperature are we supposed to maybe drink afterwards or before, or even if we really need to take water?
Okay, great question. Wow. So water is the universal solvent in all of nature. It'll dissolve everything. It distributes. It it just moves toxins and nutrients everywhere in our bodies, in the environment, on the planet. So water, of course, we can't live without water for more than 3 days. Everything will shrivel up and just dry up and no longer function. The blood gets thicker than ketchup. And so, it can't move the blood through the circulatory system to bring oxygen and nutrients to not only the brain, but all of the vital systems. So we need water all of the time, and the type of water that we drink also is very important too. You don't want to drink distilled water, because that just the way the distilled water H2O atoms are arranged are not conducive to hydrating us. So at the cell membrane, if that water cannot enter the cell and hydrate that inner environment of our cell and respirate and release the toxins outside through the cell membrane, all this is happening at the micro level. So distilled water will only leach a lot of the minerals out of the body. So you don't want to be mineral deficient. Your muscles will start to cramp up. Even the heart can have trouble, pumping blood and contracting, that kind of thing. The brain cannot function without the minerals. So all of the water that's in our body needs to be able to flow in and outside of the cells. So just kind of like the ocean, the ebb and the flow of the tide has to be flowing all the time. And water is very key to keep that going, to keep us alive. And not only that, it contains oxygen in the H2O molecule. So we need that extra oxygenation also at the cell level to function, to make sure our bodies are functioning. So that's one reason to make sure that you're drinking enough water. So purified spring water is the most hydrating, and also science have shown many experiments are increasing in discovering how water holds information and how it will rearrange its clusters of H2O to become more hydrating and more nourishing. So I don't know if you've heard of Dr. Emoto Misato in Japan years ago. He did experiments on water where prayer improves the clustering of the water and clearing up pollution on the planet, like clearing up lakes of people praying next to the water. I mean, this is a great phenomenon, but things like that have been tested on water, and it also has been shown to retain information. So it depends on what water is exposed to. That means, you know, how to what extent it's going to be nourishing and healing and hydrating. So that's another feature of water. So there's a lot of science out there. So, you know, if you're really interested, just have fun exploring that. But the temperature of water, from what I understand, if it's slightly under freezing, if it's even a little warmer, you know, very cold but not ice cold, that's supposed to be the most hydrating temperature. So drinking the purified spring water at a very cool temperature is supposed to be the most hydrating. So that's another feature of water. As far as the drops do contain 1.7 grams of the sucrose, which is the only kind of sugar that will solidify and harden into a crystalline form, which is what protects the ingredients inside each drop. So in the candy industry, everyone knows that that's the only type of sugar that will crystallize like that. So even though we have a little bit of sugar in each drop, the phytochemical compounds in and other nutrient factors in those drops will counter and help your body regulate your blood sugar. And so that little bit of sugar is not going to be an issue unless you make it a habit of taking in a lot of refined sugars in your diet. You know, that could, if you take in, you know, a lot of drops in one day and you're eating a lot of sugars, then of course that's going to raise your blood sugar. So be careful, those of you who are diabetic or are prone to have, you know, blood sugar problems. So that would be another caution. But so yeah, I mean, also, and the final thing would be the dental problems. You know, when you keep sugar on your teeth, it becomes very acidic and it eats away the tooth enamel, and it can cause a lot of bacteria to form in the cracks and crevices and form cavities. So that's why we have to make sure that we drink water.
Wow. Thank you so much for just not answering the question and really adding valuable information as you do that, because it really makes me start thinking a whole lot of other questions. But just a follow up on that. So when we give a baby, a child, this drop, we were advised to dilute it. Do we dilute it in hot water or cooled down water and then give it to the child? That's just one part of the question. After taking the drop as an adult, let's say I suck it now and it's done, it's over, do I need to take warm water afterwards, or just any ordinary water, or I don't necessarily need to take water if I don't have water at that time? Just those two scenarios for us, please help us there.
Okay, great. So babies have smaller bodies, you know, and even a little bit of sugar will affect them differently than a whole adult-sized person taking the same amount of sugar. So if the baby is well nourished, depending on the age of the baby, if the baby's already eating solid foods, then of course you have to balance the proteins and the whole food carbohydrates and the whole food fats. Never give a baby fried foods or anything really heavy because their digestive systems are still developing. Eating plenty of raw, fresh, you know, fruits and berries, and you know, maybe some green leafy greens if they have teeth and they're more prone to chew and swallow, that kind of thing. Young children really love their fruits and vegetables. If you put that in front of them, they just naturally gravitate toward them. So so definitely you want to make sure the baby is well nourished so that the little bit of sugar in the drop won't affect their blood sugar levels or tax their little pancreases. You know, the pancreas is the one that secretes the insulin to take the sugar out of the bloodstream. So you don't want to overload the baby with too much sugar in the diet, and also by giving them, you know, a lot of the drops. They can probably handle a drop if you dilute it in, doesn't have to be warm water, although the warm water does dilute it more quickly, of course. But if it's anything past 120 degrees Fahrenheit, I don't know what that is in centigrade, but if you get it to the almost boiling point of 212 degrees Fahrenheit, then those hotter temperatures will destroy a lot of the viable active nutrient factors in the drops, the enzymes and the negatively charged particles in the phytonutrient molecules. So all of that will be diminished. So all you have left is just a candy, you know, so you want to make sure those are still viable. So dissolving it or even grinding it up in a smoothie, you know, a nice little fruit smoothie for the baby with a little bit of greens thrown in, you know, with all those extra nutrients, then depending on the baby's digestive system, you know, I can't say it blanketly for all babies, but you have to know the baby's health status, the age, and their personal likes and dislikes kind of thing. So, so yeah, as far as hot water, try not to make it too hot. You don't want to destroy the nutrient factors. And the cool water is the best as far as absorbability. And then the warm water should be okay as well if you want to dissolve it a little more quickly.
Oh, wow. You've just helped our discussion that we've been having throughout the day. Thank you so much, Mary.
So glad to help.
Yeah, it was an interesting one though. We were learning so much. Okay, so just the last one for now for me, so that I can give other leaders opportunity to ask. If I see an ingredient in one of the boxes, in one of the drops that I know I'm allergic to, will I still be allergic to it, or because of how this drop was, you know, scientifically done, it will not affect me? Should I be worried? Because we're getting people who say, but I'm allergic to this, I can't take it. So help us out there, please, Mary.
Okay, you know, that's a very difficult question. It's all very individual, but here's the basic thing, and this is what I've been hearing out from other people in APL. Those who are allergic to strawberries, if you're allergic to strawberries and you eat a whole strawberry, the citric acid will go to work to try to detoxify. Citric acid is something our bodies make during the energy production process. If you've heard of the ATP, adenosine triphosphate, that's the unit of energy that our cells use to produce energy in our cells to make the body go, not just to move the muscles, but to make everything, you know, active and just perpetuating life in every single cell in our bodies every single day, you know. So citric acid is nothing to be afraid of, but it's a very detoxifying component. Since the strawberry is kind of acidic when you first eat it, it ends up being alkaline though, because of the minerals that's all that's left, you know, after you digest it, and minerals are alkaline. So don't be afraid of the acidity of anything, because it'll turn alkaline anyway eventually. But as far as the citric acid and maybe some other compounds in the whole food strawberry that someone will react to if their body needs detoxifying, or if their immune system, if you have an autoimmune response and your immune system isn't as healthy as it should be because of the, you know, improper nourishment kind of thing. So over time, these things start accumulating, and pretty soon the body breaks down and says, I can't handle this right now. I need to get rid of it. And so that's the allergic reaction. That's the allergic response. So it has to do with how good the immune system is able to recognize what's good and what's not, and how damaged the DNA in the immune system might be. A confusion of just a couple of the, you know, the sequencing of the genetic code might get damaged at some point, and so it's not able to detect what the strawberry is supposed to do. You know, other parts of the body might realize, well, yeah, the strawberry is okay, but this one area of the body, the DNA is damaged, and that says, no, I can't handle it. So it stimulates all this cascade of the immune response, you know, sends in inflammatory proteins and all these things happen, and you break out or whatever, you know. So it's a whole mess, right? So, but sometimes I found that when people take the drops that has strawberry in it, you have to think about what happens to the strawberry when it becomes the part of the drop. It undergoes a process, right, where more electrons are infused in there, and there are other phytochemical compounds from the other plants that are in the drops as well that counter any inflammatory reactions. When I did my research for the drops for the book, I found that so many of these botanicals are anti-inflammatory, almost every one. So, you know, again, and the strawberry has built-in anti-inflammatory compounds as well. Vitamin C is very anti-inflammatory, other phytochemicals in the strawberry. So from what I have found, from what people have said, they don't get an allergic reaction because of all these countermeasures and counterbalances in these different formulas. So if you are allergic to strawberries, you know, just be very cautious, put it in your mouth for a little bit, you know, and see what happens. If you don't get a response, then continue taking a little more until you can consume the whole drop. Nothing happens, then you know that there are other factors at work to counterbalance anything that your body might be allergic to.
Oh, thank you, Mary. Thank you, thank you. No, you've answered my question fully, and I'm quite happy. Fetang has had her hand up for a while. You're welcome, leader. Fetang, you're welcome to ask your questions.
Good evening, leaders. Good evening, Mary.
I could say.
Yes, good to have you back.
Thank you.
My question is this: we often get these people who ask when you tell them this is a supplement and they need to take it, and they would ask you, how long am I supposed to take it? Am I supposed to take it for a while, or am I supposed to take it for the rest of my life? So normally I tell a person to look at the situation or the issue they have had. And if the supplement helps, then the choice is theirs, whether they want to take it to be an ongoing thing. What advice would you say to those people so that most of us on the call here understand the importance of taking supplements? I know others have read about it, but I think I would love to hear it from you so that when we get these people again, then we will be able to give them a more specific answer as to why it is important for them to supplement and for the longer period.
I love this question. Thank you for asking that too. These are such fabulous questions. Thank you, everybody. Okay, so the question is whether you should take a supplement lifelong or temporary measure. So if you have a health ailment and your body is nutrient deficient in vitamins and minerals, you're not eating enough raw foods that contain those active enzymes to help break down and digest and distribute nutrients and to nourish your body in the way that it has to produce its own enzymes. It has to get enzymes from the diet. So if you're taking a supplement on top of already being healthy, then you just are going to be that much healthier. Your body is multiple trillions of cells. It will always be able to use all the nutrients. It will grab whatever it can, and the more nutrients it uses, the more optimally functioning all of your systems will be. So I'm a great advocate of both good diet, you know, plenty of raw fruits and vegetables, nuts and seeds, whole grains, and plenty of purified, you know, water, and enough protein, enough carbohydrates. All these foods serve their purposes, especially the healing fats, the right types of fats. So all of that is very, very important. Even the most conscientious, you know, health food advocate is going to be able to utilize all these nutrient factors at all times. Life is challenging. We're bombarded with challenges. The environments are sometimes very polluted. So our bodies can always use these antioxidant nutrients and just, you know, use them to the fullest extent. So yes, I'm taking a supplement lifelong. I totally advocate. The drops are immediately usable. They go into the cells and they are utilized 100%. Not all supplements can be used 100%. Very rarely do you see a tablet or a powder or a capsule that is going to be utilized 100% because it has to go through the digestive system and enter the bloodstream the long way, you know, but the drops are immediately usable and they go straight inside the cell membranes to the DNA where the damage is needs to be, you know, corrected or regenerated and that kind of thing. So that's, to me, taking the drops is just an insurance to ward against anything that might go wrong. So, but they can't do the job by themselves, you know, as powerful as they are. So it's important to maintain the body correctly and care for it properly. So, but if someone has a very serious health issue, then they, of course, they need to clean up the diet. That's the fundamental way to start correcting any serious health issue. because that's where they start in the DNA. And that's because of nutrient deficiencies and all the things that I just mentioned. So the body starts degenerating, they're more vulnerable, that kind of thing. So if you want to take them on a temporary basis, just make sure that you healthfully afterwards. But I totally advocate, you know, all these supplements.
Thank you so much, Mary.
Absolutely. I hope I answered the question.
You did. I'm not sure if others would love for you to elaborate more, but I'm covered. Thank you.
Yeah, just have me elaborate more by all means. You know, I can totally go on.
Oh, wow. No, thank you so much. All right, leaders, you are welcome to ask your questions. I do not see hands at the moment. Let me check. Oh, Jane Tutu, you're welcome to unmute and ask Mary your question.
Thank you, Julia. Good afternoon. Thanks, Mary, for coming back. I've got just a few questions for you.
Sure.
One, the expiry date. You see on the box, it might say expiry date is in December. That's 2 months to December. And then after December, can you still use those drops or not?
That's a tricky question. Depends on how far beyond the expiration date you want to take them, because they are whole foods, they are viable foods, and their healing properties will diminish over time. Doesn't seem like they would actually get rotten because of the antioxidants that are so stuffed into those drops, but and the citric acid, which is a great preservative, but you just won't have the potencies, you know, if you wait that long to take them. Keep them refrigerated. That will prolong the shelf life as well. Don't allow them to get exposed to heat, because heat does destroy a lot of those nutrients. So yeah, just keep them at high temperature, cold temperatures, refrigerated temperatures, and then use them as soon as you can.
Okay, all right, thanks. Just needed confirmation, because I understand we can still use supplements even if they expire. You have like a lifetime of 6 months or 3 months after, but I'm sorted with that. Going back to Mina's question, I heard you saying it's better to start with MLS. But what if the person's system needs to be detoxified and cleansed first, so that when you put the other drops, they can absorb easily? So I'm not 100% sure if maybe we can do HPR and then do MLS, or they got similarities.
Very good question. Thank you. So, of course, the heifer has botanicals in it that are known for detoxifying the liver, cleansing the blood, opening up the microcirculation channels in the lymph nodes, the lymph system, another detoxification channel, you know, and just clearing out a lot of the junk that accumulates in the body. So that's what the heifer was designed for, as well as the GRW, by the way. So most of these formulations, including those that are those botanicals in the MLS, will go ahead and do a cleansing in the body. They will bind to the toxic synthetic chemicals. They will neutralize all of the pollutants and the free radicals. They will help the immune system destroy any pathogenic organisms, illness-causing organisms, the microorganisms. So the heifer is a good idea if you want to just do a detoxification, and that's a gentle, sensible detoxification, nothing harsh, nothing sudden like that. So if anyone wants to do a detox, make sure that they are very gentle about it. So you don't want to do any you know, overdoing it really fast and shocking the system into releasing a lot of toxins throughout the system. That is not a comfortable feeling. You know, you'll get diarrhea, you'll break out, you'll have headaches, you'll have stomach aches, you might even get a fever, you know, and the immune system will be taxed. You might even catch the cold or the flu or something like that, you know, might happen. So just go at it very, very slowly and sensibly. So the heifer is a good idea. And just know that all of the formulations do have botanicals that will help detox also.
Okay, all right, thanks. On that very same point, for how long can I take HPR? Can I take maybe 5 consecutive days, or a day, skip a day, or just continue with 30 days? Because I don't know how safe it is. Hence, you are mentioning that it might shock the system that, oh, okay, now I'm cleansing my liver for almost 30 days. So should we give it some days in between, or what can you suggest?
You can take them every day. They are nutrients as much as they are detoxifying. So they're going to do a lot of correcting at the DNA level in the intercellular environment. But it will also go through and help your liver eliminate a lot of the toxins. The liver accumulates toxins. That's where a lot of the pollutants end up in the liver. So you'll be binding, all these synthetic chemicals and all these things that are accumulating there through the drops. But you also have to, of course, make sure your diet is also very helpful too. You want to eliminate anything that will diminish that action. So fried foods, your refined carbohydrates, just all those things that don't belong in the body, all those molecules that the body has trouble disassembling and getting rid of, and ends up just circulating in the body and collecting somewhere in the form of plaques in the arteries, or just scarring the liver. All these liver issues have to do with eating the wrong types of fats and being nutrient deficient. So eating a healthful diet, in addition to taking a drop every day for 30 days, you will definitely start noticing a lot of differences.
Okay, all right, thank you so much. One last question. I promise it's the last one.
Nope, ask all you want.
With eyes. Sorry. Okay. With eyes, I've been trying to check which botanical is there, or it's used to help the friendly bacteria like the lactobacillus in our stomach. So I just can't find it. If maybe you can assist me with that.
Yeah, so again, these plants have so many different phytochemical compounds that have been shown to do just that. But I know the licorice root helps to maintain the bacteria. They help destroy a lot of the illness-causing bacteria like the Staphylococcus, the Pseudomonas, Escherichia coli, all those things that hang out in the body and overrun the immune system. And most of them, at least all of them, from what I have found, are antibacterial, antifungal, anti-parasitic, antiviral. The metal sweet in the formulation definitely does that. The sea buckthorn berry definitely does, and peppermint especially has been shown to destroy a lot of the microbials that cause illnesses. So they also help improve the environment in the lower intestine, the gut, to nurture the aerobic bacteria. So you want aerobic bacteria in there to help diminish the anaerobic bacteria. Okay, so you want to make sure that the good bacteria overruns the bad bacteria, and your immune system is better able to handle maintaining that balance. So that's what, as far as I know, these are what these botanicals do. They all are able to destroy these pathogenic organisms.
Okay, so ice is perfect for that part. It's
yes, as well as for digestion. Yeah, definitely.
Okay, all right. Thank you so much. I'm sorted. Thanks.
You're welcome. Anytime.
Thank you so much. Wow, amazing questions. All right, let me check if there's another hand. Okay, leaders, is there anyone else who would like to ask questions that you've been asking yourself and no one can answer you? We've got Mary in the house tonight. So you're welcome to ask. Let me see. All right. Liza,
Hi,
you're welcome to
Joe.
unmute. Mina, noted. Liza.
Good evening, my leader. Good evening, Mary.
Hello, Liza.
What question is me?
Can you speak
I've got,
louder, Liza? I can barely hear you.
Sorry.
Can you speak a
I've
little
got
louder? There.
Okay, I've got a person who bought APL lozenges, But now she's telling me they're expiring. The day they're expiring, and she wants to take them still. And I asked her to wait first. Now I arrived late and it's already time for Zoom presentation. I was asking, what will you advise if she takes them? And I said, no, she's taking them. Is there anything wrong that's gonna happen? Or what do you advise?
So which formulations did she say she's taking or wants to take?
NRM and PRW.
I'm so sorry, I didn't get that.
She says
The
NRM and
customer, please.
PW.
MLS?
NRM and
Oh, norm.
PWR. Apricot.
NRM, okay, okay.
They have expired. And she
How long have
wants
they
to
been?
take them still.
So how long have they been expired?
They have expired already, as she told me, because I said I wanted
was-
the box so that I can take the photos.
So
and
it's
send it
been
to
like
us at,
only a few weeks or a month or two? How long have they been expired?
as he said, they've expired in August.
August? Oh, okay. So if she wants to prolong, to stop the degenerating process that's going on over time, losing their potency, she can put them in the refrigerator. And that way that'll prolong it a little more. But I would use them up just as soon as possible. Everything should be okay. Unless they've been exposed to the heat. If she left them in her car in the sun, then of course they're going to be totally destroyed, totally melted kind of thing. So be very careful with the drops there. Treat them like you would fresh produce.
Okay, if she takes them, it's fine still, because I said to her, she wants to take them. And for me, I'm afraid for APLGO product, because the name, if anything happens to her, is something else.
Yeah, I would use them cautiously, like I said earlier, like I suggested, to just try it a little bit and make sure, everything is good, that her body can handle it. Our bodies can handle so much abuse over time, obviously. A person doesn't show their disease process until later, until the body has run out of resources, and it takes a while. Your body will steal its own resources to keep it alive and do everything it can to eliminate toxins and to maintain the brain and nervous system and all the organs, but if you're not giving it the right, molecules, then it's going to start breaking down. But so I would just try a little bit at a time, and make sure, again, it all comes back to the diet. If this person is a type 1 diabetic, of course, that's genetic. And so they have to make sure they're taking their insulin. But a type 2 onset diabetes, even if it's acquired in childhood, that can be reversible if you pay attention to the diet, and especially the minerals. Is very important for blood sugar regulation, and also the phytochemical compounds that are abundant in these drops. Those are very, very important as well for regulating blood sugar.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Esther.
Thank you so much, Liza. Thank you. Leader Mina, your hand is noted. Leader Veronica, your hand is noted. I would like to just firstly read the questions in the chat so that they don't accumulate a lot and we miss some of them. So one of the questions there, Mary, is that sometimes you find someone who's got arthritis, so either joints or bone challenges, and normally we would recommend slide. But what happens if you actually don't have slide? Is there any other, maybe combination of other drops that you can help with this person with until the time you actually get a slide?
Okay, so we're talking about some very deep-seated health issues here. Arthritis forms over time when the body is not receiving the right nutrients, and it starts using the protein from the connective tissues like the cartilage and the joint fluids and the bone, and it'll start creating these inflammatory responses because of the lack of support in those areas. So the connective tissues are very important, but they're expendable. There's not a matter of life or death. So when a person starts deteriorating in those areas, they're usually protein deficient. So they need the basic amino acids from protein foods to help rebuild those tissues. So that can be avoided. But as far as the bone issues, that's a more serious issue. If a person has osteoporosis or any kind of degenerative bone, condition, then you want to pay attention to replenishing the body with the right minerals. And so there's non-absorbable minerals out there in the supplements area, industry, or there's very absorbable, minerals as well. So you can't just take one mineral, you have to have a wide variety of minerals, and those are found in the plant kingdom. And so, again, it's all about balancing your nutrition. So when you have these issues and you're taking something like SLD to alleviate the pain and reduce the inflammation, you're not really using the protein building blocks, in the diet to rebuild those tissues. So that's the root of the problem. The SLD is very good for reducing the pain, and some of those botanicals in the formulation will help the body regenerate. So these are like augmenting, nutrient factors to help rebuild the protein tissues in the body. So you have to pay attention to all of that. And as far as any other formulation, a lot of these botanicals and all of these different formulations do address those kinds of issues. They play a part in the rebuilding process. So, it's just a matter of understanding which formulation you want to use. So, I can go through and do a search. It'll take a couple of minutes to pull out every botanical in the book that I've written to see which ones will address the bone issues and reduce the inflammation in arthritis. That's generally the problem, though, for any of these issues.
Okay. No, thanks a lot. I think in the meantime, if you can do that, maybe multitask as we ask other questions to find
Or
that
I can,
out for us. Yeah.
What I can also do is produce an educational video on that subject, and I can utilize, whatever formulations we have that those botanicals would address that problem. I'd be happy to do that. I do that all the time anyway. If you go to my YouTube channel, Mary Esther Gilbert, then you'll see sometimes I'll answer questions like that.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. Okay. Another thing we've experienced, Mina, I'll just ask this last question and then you'll be next after this question. So we sometimes experience those who take STP or even SLD together. They will take it and they will experience excruciating pain they've never had before. And they will say, I had pain, but now it's worse. Do you maybe understand why that happens? The scenario is two. One, some of them, they will experience that, but the next day they will be perfectly fine, happy, jumping up and down, they'll be okay. But there will be those where number of days they're really experiencing this pain that they never had. Any understanding on that?
Okay, so are we talking about joint issues or what specifically, what area of the body?
So mostly of these people, they'll either be like the ones I asked, the arthritis people, or bones, definitely, where, so joint, muscles, and bones, generally it's those ones who complain about pain in the first place. And when they take STP, and then they say they're experiencing even a whole lot more pain.
Okay, so when a person has arthritis, a certain kind of arthritis is when you accumulate what are called uric acid crystals, when the person is not drinking enough water, and so the urine becomes highly saturated, and so the filtration system becomes overwhelmed, so the blood is thicker, and so you don't have the right consistency in your blood, so you're not eliminating toxins through the kidneys properly. So all of these things that are circulating in the bloodstream will end up in the joints. So these uric acid crystals are very painful. But when a person takes something like Slide or STP, those botanicals will start helping to dissolve those uric acid crystals. And that kind of dissolving process might be the cause of some of the nervous system signaling the brain that, hey, something's happening there. It's the pain is the body's way of telling you that something is wrong or something is going on. So that would be my guess as far as why someone would experience pain like that. It's part of the dissolving of these substances that solidify and block. Wee Wan's Galaxy, I think we enjoyed that song. But anyway, I'll go on. So yeah, uric acid crystals, you know, and they also form a tiny tiny micro scarring in the muscle tissues because of that kind of thing, and also in the bones. You know, the bones, the calcium deposits are not moving in the living bone tissue in and out into the bloodstream, back into the bones. So our bodies tap into our resources all the time, including the minerals from the bones. But exercise and nutritional replenishment will also keep the bone matrix strong. But when the body's trying to get rid of these excess plaques and crystals and things that have accumulated in the body abnormally, then I think the slide and the stop, the botanical, you know, their properties will probably start dissolving a lot of that, and that just might be what they're experiencing. I'm not certain as to what's going on. I would have them checked medically too, just to make sure it's not something else.
No, thank you so much for that. Leaders, I've asked your questions in the chat. If you need to do a follow-up, please, you're welcome to put your hand up and follow up on that. I hope I did justice to your question. Leader Mina, over to you, my leader.
Thank you, Julia. Thank you, Mary. You mentioned that all our lozenges have a bit of sugar. Now, I'm a bit concerned when it comes to diabetes. Will that create irrational reading if they're taking norm with their medication? How does that work? Or should they still continue? Because I have a few of my friends and my family that have diabetes and they've been using norm. And sometimes their readings are not where they're supposed to be. They're in fact higher. So is there something that we need to do?
Okay, great question again. So the norm contains sugar balancing aspects to it that'll counter that little bit of sugar. Diabetics can take a small amount of sugar as long as they are controlling other aspects of their diet or other substances that will counter, you know, that effect on their blood sugar. So let's take the NRM, for instance. You know, the apple will help regulate fat metabolism, which elevates the triglycerides, which also elevates the blood sugar. You know, the body's trying to break down and utilize things for energy, but sometimes it can't take all of that out of the bloodstream in time. So that's the diabetic, you know, problem when the insulin cannot do its job, or the pancreas is not producing enough insulin to take that out. So the apple has been known to help with sugar and fat metabolism. And then the balsam pear fruit also, it contains all kinds of biochemicals that will help maintain that hormone equilibrium, because the hormonal system also will monitor the blood sugar. So all of this is played, you know, through these factors in these fruits. So let's see, looking through here, fenugreek it has a lot of the blood, purifying the blood, cleansing the lymphatic system, removing a lot of the you know, the sugar out of the blood. Also, the ginseng is very, very good for regulating blood sugar. You know, improves the conversion of carbohydrates into energy. That's extremely important. It's very well known for that. It also helps regulate blood glucose levels and lower the bad cholesterol, the LDL cholesterol. It also contains all these different flavonoids that there's thousands of flavonoids. I've compiled a database in my book describing exactly what flavonoids do for the body, one of which these compounds, it's a huge class of compounds that help regulate blood sugar as well. So let's see here, we've got the gumar leaf, has positive effects on blood glucose balance, homeostasis, controls cravings for sweets, you know, that kind of thing. It helps regenerate pancreas functioning. All of this is very, very well backed up scientifically, by the way. I have literally at least a couple of thousand of scientific research citations throughout the book on every single botanical in the drops. So we've got the lychee as well. You know, it helps digestive system and it helps cholesterol, you know, all of these wonderful augmenting, you know, additional things that contribute toward balancing your blood sugar and your body's lipids, the blood fats in the bloodstream. And then, of course, we've got the Malabar tamarind fruit as well. So those are all, helps prevent the conversion of carbohydrates when it's stored as body fat. So rather than having it circulating in the bloodstream, the tamarind will help at least get it out of the bloodstream and convert it to body fat, a much safer way to store energy. Unless you're obese, and then we've got other health issues. But yeah, I mean, just as a short example, what these formulations will do as far as regulating blood sugar. So that 1.7 grams of sugar, the body should be able to handle it, especially if the person is eating a well-balanced meal and not heavy on the carbohydrates.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Leader Veronica, you're welcome to unmute and ask.
Good evening, everyone.
Hi, Veronica.
I've got few questions here, Mary, to ask. I've got a client who has got a challenge with her vision. She has been using MLS, NRM, and GROW for almost 2 months now. And the improvement is very, very minimal. What will you suggest?
Okay, so what are the health issues, just briefly?
I beg your pardon?
So why was she taking these drops in particular?
It's she has got a challenge with her eye.
Okay, so her vision is diminishing. Does she have cataracts, or what's the issue?
No cataracts up to so far. Actually, she's a little bit diabetic. She was just diagnosed 2 months ago. So I just suspect that it's due to the diabetic condition. So that is why I recommended MLS and NRM and GROW and beauty as well.
Yes, we've got some botanicals in those formulations that will improve the way the eye functions, as far as, especially when they've got diabetic retinopathy. If it's in the retina, those the microcirculatory system in the eye needs to be regenerated. The blood vessels in the eye need to be strengthened and flexible again, and so minimizing the micro scarring that might be occurring to diminish the vision. So all of that brings clarity to the eye, the muscle, the circulatory system, the tiny capillary blood vessels in the eye area. So a lot of these formulations have an affinity for the eye because they contain the classification of phytonutrients called the carotenoids. And there are literally thousands of different types of carotenoids. There's classes and subclasses and subclasses. So these are all found in a lot of these botanicals and these formulations. So she may want to supplement with even more with whole foods, the types of foods that are in the botanicals, because right now she's receiving the DNA information to repair the DNA of in the cells in the eyes. So if she's taking in other things that are destroying her circulatory system, then she needs to stop that right now. And also not staying hydrated. If a person is chronically dehydrated, then those tiny capillaries will start becoming rigid and start breaking and blocking the circulatory system to the eye. So this is all very important. We have to focus on what's going on at the micro level. And that means the right nourishment, the right hydration, and also continuing with the drops, because they are doing the corrections at the DNA level, but it requires more. So she needs to focus on all those other things as well.
No, it's fine. Thanks very much. And then my other question is, I just want to get it about BRN. Is it, can it assist in reversing memory loss? BRN?
Okay. Yeah, okay, memory loss. Memory loss is another microcirculatory issue, and it's also an accumulation of plaques on the nerve cells. Of course, we're talking about something that's very, very small at the microscopic level, but the nerve cells require fatty acid coating on the nerve cell or surrounding the nerve cell in order for it to be able to receive information, reduce inflammation, all the things that nerve cells are doing. They're communicating, they're transmitting electrical signals. But if those cells are damaged, then it can't transmit those signals. And if you're eating the wrong types of fats, fried foods, again, those are the culprits for so many microcirculatory issues and hormonal issues. But the plaques start forming around the nerve cell and start destroying the nerve cells. So you have less communication pathways throughout the body. So memory loss begins there. So clearing out those plaques means stopping, what causes it, those bad fats, and being hydrated, because even nerve cells need that electrical potential that water provides to communicate. So maintaining that hydration level is very, very important. Any other liquid other than the purified spring waters will not do that job, will not hydrate. So hydration and the right types of fats in the diet to coat those nerve cells properly and improve the way they conduct their communications. And also taking in the right types of minerals, just a diet abundant in vitamins and minerals, but also the drops with the DNA repairing power is very important too. That's one component of whole health. The drops are amazing in how they can repair all of those different things that can go wrong at the DNA level. That's where our bodies, that's where the instructions, the genetic code of instructions as to how to run the body properly. So when those are damaged due to all those other factors, then we need to start, the repair process. So doing all of the above needs to be done. Also an enzyme active diet like the drops and other fresh foods over time, concentrating on those. Juicing if the person has digestive issues with all that fiber, but the high water content, all those phytonutrients combined with the drops will certainly start dissolving all of those problems and hopefully bring her memory back. A lot of these botanicals I have found will actually go in and do that. So, as far as the drops go, then they are already doing some of that work.
No, thank you very much. And then the last two, they are quite short. I've got a situation where one of my clients, she's suffering from stroke. I actually started, it was not, I just gave her some few to start off with. And then the next day when I called her, she said to me that she has got abdominal pains. I'm not sure if this question might have been asked because I've been kicked out quite often during this session. So I don't know what could be the cause, because I gave her GRW1 and then MLS. I also gave her HRT and BRN and slide. I can't recall, but I gave her based on the whatever prescription. So she said to me that she suffered from not be able to carry on using them. I don't know if. Hello.
Okay,
Leader
Veronica.
Veron, your line is breaking, but I'm not sure, Mary, if you actually got the gist of her question.
After you mentioned the NRM, Veronica, you were cutting in and out so much that I couldn't get the rest of it. I
Okay,
heard the
so
word
far-
The network
prescription.
is terrible here.
Yeah, I think I heard a bit. She said this person had stroke. She gave her GROW, multi-spectrum, heart, brain, SLD. And the person is experiencing stomach cramps. I think that's what she was trying to explain.
Yes, certainly yes.
Okay, so let's start with stroke. again, it's a matter of maintaining the blood vessels so that they do not break and cause what are called, clots. When the blood vessels get damaged, they form clots. Just like anytime we cut ourselves, we see the scabs forming. Those are the clotting factors. But if it happens inside the blood vessels, it can obstruct the circulatory flow right to the brain and to the heart. And so over time, if a person is accumulating those plaques, again, there's those pesky fatty oils that are so bad for the body when they're fried, so they can also form plaques. A lot of times people blame cholesterol for it, and that's not the issue. Cholesterol will help you dissolve those plaques, and also they're part of the cell membranes. Our bodies manufacture cholesterol, so it's not the cholesterol. So as far as the stroke and the strength and flexibility of the blood vessels, again, the right types of phytonutrients, all these nutrients that are in the plant kingdom, and eating the right types of fats, both animal fats and plant fats, whole food fats like raw nuts and seeds. Those will also help prevent the abnormal clotting and to help repair the blood vessels before the clotting becomes too obstructive, to be dangerous like that. So the stroke, that's what causes the stroke in the first place. So maintain your blood vessels, everyone. That's so important to prevent that. And also, if a person starts accumulating the plaques again, enzyme active, biochemically active diet, including what's in the drops, will certainly help do that. Okay, so doing the HRT would be very beneficial because the hawthorn berry in that formulation is known for keeping the blood vessels open and strong and the circulatory system going properly. And so also preventing a lot of that dangerous clotting that could go on. So a lot of the other formulations have botanicals that will help do that too, but the HRT has a concentration of botanicals that are known to do that. So that was right in giving her that. And as far as NRM2, that's a blood sugar, fat regulating kind of drop as well. SLD also contains a lot of the sulfur compounds that are very repairing and very healing at the cell level in the blood vessel systems. So that was a very good move too. And the BRN especially, that's also contains a lot of botanicals that will do the job as well. So, all of the above, all of these things will help toward, alleviating or preventing, helping to prevent those kinds of conditions. Again, the word help is very important because it does not directly impact. The body uses all these nutrients to do, what it needs to do to stay alive and to keep it out of danger. So that's the difference between, say, what a specific drug might do versus a nutrient factor in botanical or in the drops might do. So there's very different pathways, very different approaches to one kind of removes a lot of the symptoms and prevents a lot of sudden things from happening. But as far as the drops go and all the nutrient factors and everything in the diet and staying hydrated, all those are something the body recognizes. The DNA immediately recognizes and how to repair itself, and therefore improving its functioning. That's totally different. Okay, so then as far as the stomach pains, okay, so there's a lot of reasons that can cause that. If a person has poor digestive hydrochloric acid, if a person's not producing enough hydrochloric acid to deal with the sugar, kind of thing, if their diet is suffering that way, if they're unable to take in a lot of fibers, if their digestive system has a problem, or if they have an ulcer, which is caused by certain bacteria. So this bacteria will feed on the sugar as well. So, that kind of thing can cause stomach problems. If the person has a precondition, before taking the drops, then that would certainly, activate that and cause pain that way. So like I said, there are a lot of reasons for stomach pain. So the sugar, if she's taking a lot of drops all at once, that sugar will actually feed the organisms, that thrive in the tissues in the stomach lining that cause the perforation and the open, sores in the body. That's from the bacteria burrowing in and causing that problem. So I really, not knowing her total health history, those are kind of a few things that I can draw upon that might cause that problem. So any kind of hydrochloric acid or digestive, enzymes problem, if she's not producing that, then that can also cause it. I hope that answers your question, not knowing too much about her history.
Yes. No, thank you very much. Well, I just feel I'll be too long, but I'm tempted to ask you this question. Anything about weight loss? Any supplements to use for weight loss? Your advice?
Okay. So I'm actually finishing up 2 books on that entire subject. So
I beg your pardon?
I'm actually finishing up 2 new books on that subject, on
Okay.
weight management, lifelong weight management. So there are basic factors that a person needs to do to manage their weight. And the drops will nourish the body, and that will provide a lot of the repairing that is needed in order to provide you with more energy and things like that. So that's a great start. But in order to truly maintain your weight, you have to maintain a certain amount of lean muscle mass, and that means exercise. Even gentle exercise will make so much difference in speeding up the metabolic rate, the rate at which your body burns fat. And these diets that are out there, they concentrate on losing water immediately and losing that valuable muscle or body protein. Our bodies are mostly protein. All of our cells are maintained with protein structures. And so that includes every single cell in the body, every single system. Our bodies have water, we're mostly water, and then we're mostly protein. And then we have some sugars and some fats, and things like that, enzymes and other things in the body, but mostly we are protein. So we have to maintain that lean muscle tissue in order to keep that metabolism fast, in order to burn the fat, even when you're resting, so exercise does that for you. You don't really burn that many calories when you're exercising, but your body keeps that metabolic rate up even when you're sleeping. And so you're still burning calories, at a good enough rate to keep losing the body fat and preserving that muscle tissue. So nutritional replenishment also is the next thing that you need to do to balance that, because when we exercise, we're using all of our resources, our energy, our blood sugar, our glucose. The muscles, sometimes they have to give up a little bit of the muscle tissue to convert it to glucose really fast for that energy, depending on how fit you are. But so we need to replenish that. We don't completely wear it down when we exercise, but a lot of our resources are used. And what's wonderful about the body is that it will respond to the stimulus of exercise by preparing itself for the next physical challenge. So it's very good for adapting that way. And in the meantime, you're building your endurance, you're building your metabolic rate, and that means detoxifying more efficiently, and utilizing and delivering nutrients all over the body and oxygenation in your cells. So all of that is like this whole cascade effect when you start exercising and replenishing yourself after every single exercise session. So nutrient replenishment, hydration is very important. Sleeping, the body does its best regenerative work when you're sleeping. So make sure you get enough sleep, especially when you're starting to increase your circulation. I mean, it could be something gentle like Tai Chi or yoga, or any other gentle movement that even dancing, dancing in the sunlight, dancing in the moonlight, but dancing to songs in your home, kind of thing. All that increases your circulation and starts your body to work at a more youthful, higher metabolic rate. And so you'll look better, your body will be highly circulated and highly oxygenated, highly nutrient enriched kind of thing. So that's the key to weight loss. There's no other way. That's the way the body's designed. We're designed for physical labor, and so we have to keep that physical work up, and we have to replenish. Is that
Very much.
is everybody okay with that? I know that's hard to take sometimes. They don't want to exercise. It's hard.
No, thanks a million. Thanks for
Thank you,
sorry
Rita
that I had to
Veronica.
take too much time.
No
Thank
worries.
you,
That's why
Van.
we're here. That's
Here as
why
long as
we're
you want.
here. Thank you so much. Yes.
I enjoy this so much.
Mary, I just want to say to the leaders that, are you leaders hearing Mary that every time when she talks about these drops, she always makes sure she mentions a healthy lifestyle. Like, you cannot miss that. Even in all our documents, as much as we know that these supplements are really miraculous, like, you know, we call them miracle sweets here. So we know that it does really have a positive impact on people and what their sicknesses are. But then if they don't adopt a healthy lifestyle, it's counterintuitive, you know? So we need to do that. You can't take a supplement, which is herbs, plants, and all of that, but still we eat all the other things and expect to be okay. And for some reason, we are expecting that after I take a supplement for 2 months, I should stop. That supplement is a dietary supplement. It's made out of food. So we need to be obviously keep on taking that and also changing our lifestyle for a more healthier one. Talking to myself here as well, by the way. So preaching to myself as well. So I'm realizing that every time she responds, there's no way she can not mention a healthy lifestyle, making sure we are hydrated. So let's keep doing that. I think before we close, because we've taken a bit of more time, let's read what other questions are saying and in the chats. Let me see if I missed anything. Okay. All right. Okay. Can a person taking milk, how do you pronounce that? Lidan Tutu, please open up your mic. I don't know, Mary, if you can see the.
Yeah,
Yes,
it's milk
milk
thistle.
thistle.
Julia,
Are you able to
Julia, Julia, I'm
Yes.
sorry, my mouth is kind of full. But milk thistle is one of the botanicals that are in our HPR. So all I was asking is that, can I continue taking my milk thistle because it's a liver cleanser, and still take her HPR, or should maybe stop on milk thistle a little bit and then see how HPR works? It's milk thistle. Yeah.
I would continue taking the milk thistle supplement. You know, it's a whole plant, right? So you've got the fiber in there and you've got the phytonutrients. And when your body finally digests it down to the DNA level, your body's going to use that DNA as well. You know, and the drops contain so many other botanical DNAs that your body can utilize to help improve the detoxification, you know, channels. So I would definitely do that. Just take it as directed on the label. You know, that's already been researched, and the FDA laws here in the United States anyway, you know, will swoop down if a company is using, you know, too much of it or unsafe levels, that kind of thing. So yeah, supplements are usually pretty safe, and I would take that. Or if you have the plant itself and you're making a tea out of it, or if you're using it in, like, say, salads or whatever, then yeah, I mean, everything in moderation. You know, you don't want to take the whole bottle all at once, you know, or make a very, very strong concoction, that kind of thing. So don't go overboard. But yeah, I would definitely, I mean, it's all nutrients. Your body's going to be able to use it.
Okay, cool. Thanks.
Thank you. Thank
You're
you.
very
All right.
welcome.
So one more question. It says, for babies, should we give them over the same period of time as adults, or should we minimize the period? Okay, not sure what the period means. Does the period mean daily? Is that what you mean, or does it mean time of the day? I'm not too sure what Pat is asking there. I don't know, Mina, do you understand the period part of the question? Because I saw that you. Or is she here? Pat, are you here?
I think I know what she means.
Okay, lovely, lovely. Thank you.
Okay, so yeah, Pat, you know, babies are just smaller, so they need a little less than we do. And so, you know, if you want to give a baby part of the drop and you see any, you know, you don't see any effects, you probably won't, because the DNA, the body knows exactly these molecules. It's so familiar with these molecules. We are so compatible with plants. Their DNA, their inside of their cells are almost exactly the same as ours. They have, you know, protein needs, they have detoxification, you know, factors, they have protein factories in there, they handle their fatty acids, and they can formulate their own fatty acids for us. Very, very compatible. All these vitamins and minerals that they take up from the soil, we can utilize, you know, exactly the same way practically. So, you know, we are so compatible. People should not be afraid of taking the drops, even giving it to their children. But again, their bodies are smaller. So give their little bodies time, to process all of these nutrients. So give them a little bit less and just approach everything very cautiously. I tell this story because it's so amazing. I heard about a 3-year-old little boy who consumed a whole packet of some drops. I don't think they even mentioned what drops they were, but the poor little child just ate all of them, the whole packet, all 30 of them. And so when they had to change his diaper, they found a lot of these micro, little parasitic worms in the feces. So that's the good thing that came out of it. And there was no side effects other than that came from it. So, our bodies are full of these microorganisms, and apparently perhaps the diet wasn't so good in this poor child. Even though he ate a lot of sugar, there were a lot of detoxification, little microscopic factors that destroy these microscopic organisms in the body. So I wouldn't advise that at all, because that's a lot of sugar for a little baby boy. A lot of parents give their children that much candy, that much sugar, which is so bad for them. So interferes with their growth process and disrupts their immune system and all of that. But yeah, I would just be very careful. So I'm looking at the chat and she's saying, oh, this is Dinah's question. I'll wait for Dinah's question. But anyway, I hope I answered that question for you, Pat.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for that. All right, so let's see Dinah's question. Can someone who's diabetic and lost weight take NRM? He was hospitalized because sugar was very low, so they are scared taking NRM. Please advise.
Okay, I know of one particular instance, at least. I've heard other people's experience, but in my experience, I had a client take the NRM, even though he was borderline diabetic, and it helped reduce his blood sugar levels. So, that he likes to eat carbohydrates though. So, that later on he was having trouble adjusting his blood sugar levels, but when he adjusted his diet, then the drops were perfect for him. He was able to maintain his blood sugar levels. I don't think it was the direct result of the drops, because the botanicals do have those phytochemicals that will help the body regulate its blood sugar, take the blood sugar out of the bloodstream, kind of thing. They really help the pancreas. They really help the that mechanism that recognizes, how much sugar is in the blood. So the NRM I've gotten good reports from it, and maybe other people have too, but you really have to watch your carbohydrate intake and take in minerals, plenty of other, other foods. Like Julia said, we've got to maintain that healthy lifestyle and take in all of those vitamins and minerals and phytonutrient factors that are in those botanicals, as well as taking in the DNA repairing drops as well. So yeah, if someone is hospitalized for low blood sugar, and if they're diabetic, then they have to be responsible, I guess, or have someone watch to make sure that their blood sugar levels are level, at safe levels. So, I don't know the whole history of the whole story, but it's important to maintain blood sugar levels. So taking a little bit of a test, testing the drop 1 NRM, even if it's eating part of it, dissolving part of it in the mouth, then you might want to test it that way. But mostly it's the level of proteins and the right types of whole food fats that help regulate the blood sugar as well and keep that blood sugar level, at the right levels. The B complex vitamins that are present in these plants and in the animal-derived proteins, those are also, they play a large factor in regulating blood sugar levels as well. So it's the whole picture, there's not ever any one factor, unless they go overboard with one thing, then to upset the balance like that. Low blood sugar can be just not eating enough carbohydrates, even the healthy carbohydrates, the whole foods, the root vegetables, the beans, legumes, the whole grains. Those are whole food carbohydrates. And the body will digest those and release the sugar gradually over a period of time to give you like a sustained release kind of energy. Even fruits, they have the right type of sugar where the body immediately uses the sugar, so it's never overloading, never accumulating. The body just uses that really fast, because all of our cells need the energy from the glucose in those fruits to do their work, kind of thing. So yeah, it's a loaded question, and I know I just went all over the place with the answer, but I'm hoping that helped in some way.
Okay, so okay, while we're on that, low blood sugar. So at the moment, the person says my sugar is very low. Is NRM okay to take, or will it take it even further down, or it will just normalize it to go up a bit?
Yeah, Norm will help. It has those botanicals, phytochemical compounds that will help regulate the blood sugar. They all have those properties that help bring that back into balance. But again,
Okay.
make sure your diet is well balanced too
Yeah.
by the protein and the right types of fats.
Awesome. Awesome. Okay. Thank you so much. Leaders, we've been here for over an hour and a half, and I believe Mary has really done justice answering our questions in detail. I appreciate you for that. And I hope I didn't miss anyone's question in the chat. Please, next time when we call her back in, have more questions, use the products even more so that you can ask a bit more questions. But it's been a fruitful evening. Mary, you've always awesome, relaxed and answer. Your energy is the same. We can see that, you're living this healthy lifestyle. You are able to go with us for as long as we can. So we really appreciate you for that. Thank you. Leaders, have a lovely evening. Mary, can't wait to chat to you again soon.
Same here. It's been my pleasure. I mean, I thrive on this kind of thing. I just can't get enough information. I always want to share. And I love the questions because it brings out that knowledge. You don't know how much you know until you teach, right? So it's always a pleasure. And yeah, living the lifestyle, I am definitely living that. I'm walking the talk, practicing what I teach, and I feel great. I have no health issues, having been very physically active, different types of like in the martial arts and dance and all these different athletic things, endeavors in my life, and I don't have any worn down joints. I don't have any health issues at all. So it all works, I can tell you that. And the clients that I've worked with, their health transformations are phenomenal. It's just really amazing. It's what the body needs. It's what the body understands. And so I'm here to just teach that and spread that news as far and widely as I can. So I'm really happy to do this for South Africa.
Awesome. So before we let you go, Mary, tell us where we can find you. I heard you mentioned your YouTube channel. Where else are you? And just tell us also again where we can get your book. I know we mentioned it the last time, but we've got new people today. Just to tell us a bit where we can find any of the work that you've done. Thank you.
Yeah, first of all, a simple search on Google, Google USA, I guess in your case, just type my name in and everything comes up. But my website is holisticchoices.com. And so I've got a lot of educational stuff there. But in the supplements link on the left side, all my links are on the left side. You can look at all the videos I've done for APL. If you scroll down to the bottom, you'll see APL, the science of APL. And I put the other video that we did together there as well. So all the videos for APL are being put there. As far as my book goes, again, on the left-hand side, you'll say books by me or the author. I forget what the tab says, but click on books and it'll take you to all the books I've written. And if you scroll down to the bottom, that's the latest one I've written or I've published. So that's called, oh my goodness, Potent Superfoods for Lifelong True Health. Yeah, I have to make sure I remember my long titles. Yeah, Potent Superfoods for Lifelong True Health is the book that I have rewritten for APL. It used to be the APL Nutritional Health Guide, but yeah, that's a long story. And if anybody wants to know that story, I can send you the video of me explaining why I had to just kind of revise that book. And it's all good, it's all within compliance and all that. But yeah, that's where you can find my book. And it'll take you to the Amazon website. You can also go directly to Amazon and order it through there too. If you type in my name or type in the book title, you'll also find it there as well.
Wow. And
let's see. Oh, yeah, I'm trying to produce a lot of more videos now as time permits on my YouTube channel that are educational, so that I can just answer people's questions. So if anybody has a question that would be beneficial for a lot of other people, then I try to answering it in detail like I usually do in a video, so that I'm building a library of information for people. I'm also starting to move to Rumble. I don't know, since YouTube has been doing a lot of censorship for a lot of other people, I try to stay within their guidelines as well. but Rumble will actually allow me to teach in more detail and reveal more information for people to manage their health. So that's what I have so far.
Oh, incredible woman. Thank you so much for being with us. We'll talk to you soon. Natalia, would you like to do our final goodbyes? And then we can end our session.
Mary, thank you so much. Thank you. Really, I see there were a lot of questions and you covered completely everything. Thank you, really, because even being in the company so many years, anytime I find something very useful for me. And I hope all our partners found the same. So really, sincerely, thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you. It's my honor and my pleasure. Thank you so much, Julia, Natalia, all the rest of you. Have a great night. Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Good night.
Thank you, Mary.
You're
Thank you,
welcome.
Mary.
You're welcome.
Thank you, everyone. Good night.
Thank you, Mary.